Jehovah's Witnesses are right in the middle. You've got to figure they're right in the middle of all of this. If they're in New York City and Brooklyn, now my God, anybody who lives in America knows what Brooklyn is all about. Brooklyn is the center and has been for a long time, for many, many years. Brooklyn, New York has been the center for mafia, for Jewish Zionism, for all the corruption, all the underworld stuff that's been going on in America. It's a very serious area of corruption and occult power in Brooklyn, New York. Well, that was the home, and that's the home of Jehovah's Witnesses. On the web and look at the history of Brooklyn. It is nothing but criminal. And there is the Watchtower Bible Tract Society right in the middle of Brooklyn, buying up docks, buying up properties, doing anything they want to do. Even the mafia couldn't buy the docks of Brooklyn, as well established in Brooklyn as they were. Even the mafia could not buy the docks of Brooklyn. Nobody could do that. Jehovah's Witnesses did. They went in and bought up whole sections. Many years ago, back in 1980s, early 80s, I went to an international convention here in Los Angeles of Jehovah's Witnesses. And at that international convention, there were three of the members of the governing body. There's a handful of men. I think there's 12 of them. And I knew two of the members of the governing body personally, Dan Seelig, and I can't remember the other guy's name now. He was an old Greek guy. And so after the convention was over, the governing body members, there were three of them, and all of the people around them, their entourage, were all going out to dinner. And I was invited to go. And at dinner, there was a young man there, young Greek guy there, who was the accountant he was the chief accountant for the Watchtower Bible Tract Society, Jehovah's Witnesses headquarters in New York, and he was the chief accountant. And so we're talking about the organization, etc., and I'm just listening to these big shots talking about the company and about the corporation, etc. And then I asked this young man, I said, in the yearbook company, it says that you have spent like $65 million just on salaries alone. $65 million on salaries alone for this year. And so I asked him, and that does not include all of the construction, all of the buildings and property which is being bought all over the world by Jehovah's Witnesses. So my question is, where are you getting the money? Because I live here in Los Angeles, and the congregations here are just scraping and getting by from month to month on contributions, and yet the New York headquarters is spending $65 million just in salaries alone around the world. And so there's an enormous amount of money that's being spent each year by the organization, the world headquarters. So I asked him, where are you getting the money? And he said to me, he said, the corporation called you, the Watchtower Bible Tract Society company, has what is called an open-end account with two of the major banks in America. One is the this is back in the 80s. He said one of the banks is the Chase Manhattan Bank, and the other is the Morgan Guarantee Bank in Philadelphia. Morgan Guarantee and the governing body are sitting there listening to me talking to their chief accountant, and it became very quiet because now you're talking about the money. Now you're talking about where the real power is, and so they were listening to see what was going to be said. And I said, what do you mean by an open-end account? And he says, basically, both banks give us a checkbook once a year, and whatever checks we write are covered, period. No matter what it is, it's an open-end account. We write the checks, and they're good. and whatever, and so there's no limit on it, to finance propaganda machines for what we refer to as Zionist propaganda for New World Order. And so Jehovah's Witnesses are famous for talking about Jehovah's New World. It's not Jesus' New World. It's Jehovah's New World. Jehovah is one of the names of the Hebrew God that we use today. So the original Watchtower magazine, originally back in 1870s, 1869, 1870, when Charles Taze Russell began to publish, the Watchtower Society published a Watchtower magazine, it was not called Christian's Watchtower or Jesus Watchtower. It was called Zion's Watchtower, Z-I-O-N-S, Zion's Watchtower. And there were pictures in the old original Zion's Watchtowers, of which I had the complete set from the 1870s. Said the Watchtower had pictures of Charles Taze Russell on board large ships going back to England, and it shows him with all of these big shots, and it says in the article he was there with the Zionist leaders going back to England to meet with Lord Rothschild and the Prime Minister of England, etc., etc. Well, that just tells me that he is well connected to the secret order of the movements of the world that have brought about what we call the New World Order, because that's what he was talking about, the New World Order. And so even today, the Watchtower talks about the coming new world, where Jehovah will be the absolute monarch of this new world order. And so Jehovah has nothing to do with Christianity as it was originally understood in the first century. This is Zionism. This is actually a Jewish Zionist front group that's being financed by the Rockefeller banks in Chase Manhattan and Morgan Guaranty Trust out of England. That's just the beginning.
Was it found?
And on that, and in that chart, she has Jehovah's Witnesses as being originally founded by the Rothschilds and the Rockefeller banks to be a front group to prepare people for the idea, the very concept of an earthly kingdom, a new world order earthly kingdom by God. And of course, nobody would want to argue with that if it's by God. And so it was being financed out of Europe. And of course, the Watchtower Society was very, very big in the 1870s in England and in the continent also. So I think probably, I'm giving Charles Taze Russell the benefit of the doubt. Maybe at the very, very beginning, he was truly interested in Christianity, but from the very start of his very beginning of his watchtowers, it was called Zion's Watchtower, and we're told that he was being financed. That's a whole another story about where he got his money from to start the International Bible Students Association, which became later on.